today is really about learning how Cody and Chad and the team did this incredible accomplishment. So we're really excited. What I will say is this does not happen without an incredibly supportive board and a really strong governance structure. And so what I'd like to do now is invite up Jay McDermott, our illustrious president, to say a few words.
Thank you, Desi. Well, this is capping off this weekend when we were able to open up. We had great feedback from people at the party at the Peak. It was wonderful for everyone to get together again. And now we're going to get a chance to hear some of the whys behind the golf course and some of the stories about how this is coming to being here. And I want to thank the golf committee under Ken Alterman's leadership. And specifically, we had Ken, Bob Campbell, and Steve Yamasaki, who were meeting bi-weekly with Cody and really making sure that this came in on time and under budget. So it's an incredible accomplishment. We want to thank those folks and look forward to this afternoon. And let me turn it over to Ken now.
Okay. Thanks, Jay. Hey, everybody. We're excited to be here, and we're excited to be here with the two most instrumental people that made everything that we're going to experience happen. And before we get started, let's continue some thank yous. That way I won't forget it and I won't get yelled at. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to, well, first let me introduce Chad Getz. For those of you that have not met Chad, he's the lead designer on Nicklaus redesigned signature golf courses. He's done a lot of work up at Desert Mountain. Those of you that played Cochise recently, Chad was the guy that made that happen. Probably one of the best courses up there now. And Chad first got involved with our project about a year after Mr. Nicklaus was here, which was the summer of 21. We met Chad in 22. And that's how long we've been working on this, planning on this, and trying to make it the best it can be. So Chad's been with Nicklaus for 20 plus years, 26 years, which is really pretty good. I think Mr. Nicklaus was 51. I'm 5'11" when he started. He might be 5'7" now. But he's still with it, and he still talks with Chad and reviews information, and this whole project was reviewed. And Chad will go into it and tell you between him and Jack how close they are on this and what this does mean to Jack. And then we'll go to Cody. But first, Chad, over to you.
All right. Well, if you'll indulge me, I just have a few thank yous as well. First of all, to you all, thank you for trusting us with the project, supporting the project, and bearing with us as we dug up your golf course. Thanks to Desi, especially for just leaving me alone. That was
What I do best.
to Joan, she's amazing. And then, of course, to Cody to my right here. He was our fearless leader. He kept us all going forward and moving together, and I think he and his staff have done an amazing job and delivered you an amazing product. Also, I don't think we could go on without mentioning Curtis Tyrell, your previous director of agronomy, who this was kind of his vision at the beginning, and he got the nuts and bolts of this started until Cody was crazy enough to come in and actually execute it. I also want to thank the committee, Ken, Bob, and Steve, especially Ken. They were out with us during my site visits in the early phases of the golf course. That's when the real design work happened. Once we got stuff approved, then it was more of put it all together and get it grasped. But they were invaluable in giving me feedback on how you actually play the golf course, the issues facing different types of players, and I hope we tried to address a lot of those issues as we went around. Also want to thank Steve Kuhn. Steve Kuhn was our lead shaper, who he's just a master, great to bounce ideas off of, and he was an invaluable set of eyes and ears while I was not on site. And then finally to our contractor, Heritage Links, they did a great job, led by Oscar Rodriguez and Jorge Huerta and Leo Valaterra on site. Great crews, they worked so hard, and I think the final product speaks for itself. So just thank you again to everybody, and we can't wait to give it back to you tomorrow, rain or shine.
Thanks, Chad. Just adding a little bit, this guy, very high standards. He approved every shape, every green, every turn of a bunker, and the design, and down to a millimeter. If it wasn't sloped exactly the way he wanted it sloped. And we'll talk about the goals of what Chad's vision is for the greens and for our enjoyment of the greens. But suffice to say, we're very lucky that we have someone with such a high bar on what he's willing to accept. And we didn't lose much time, but I will tell you that he had our contractor, who's great, redo their work quite a few times, just until we finally got it where it needed to be. But we had a great project plan. We expected that, and you'll see all of what happened. But that's the design and the architectural. Then you've got to convert on it and execute it and make it real, and then be able to talk turkey with the people that are building it and making it happen. And the hardest bar to clear from a satisfaction standpoint of getting it right was this guy at the end. We are so fortunate that Cody came when he came. I do appreciate calling out Curtis. Curtis built an amazing project plan, and it played to Curtis's strength to build a very articulated project, which he did. But we couldn't be more fortunate that when Curtis moved on to other things, we found Cody, because this man is, we don't want to get his OCD treated. It really works to our favor.
Don't make him mad either.
And don't make him mad, right? Definitely don't do that. But you couldn't ask for a harder working director of agronomy, and he was here and lived it. And I think in January, if we don't see him for a couple of weeks, I really do hope he takes some time off. But with that, Cody, why don't you share some of your thoughts? And I know you have some thank yous.
Yeah, ditto on all your thank yous as well. I couldn't do without great membership, great support from administration, Chad, Ken, Steve, Bob. Awesome project. This is my third major one. They're all different. They're all nerve-wracking, and working with such a great team made it a lot easier, so that we could deliver on time, under budget. So we're really proud to get to this point, but couldn't got here also without the golf course maintenance team. For those that don't know, standing in the back there is Jack and Ryan. Alex isn't out here; he's out in the golf course still putting plants in. But those are leaders of our team down in golf course maintenance, also with our staff. You all got to celebrate Alberto earlier this year, who's been here for 40 plus years. Him and his son Raul and his nephew Vampy, who are irrigators. Those guys they were here till dark when you couldn't see anything, babysitting water. And if you think watching paint dry is painful, try growing grass. Especially bent grass greens in the summer in Arizona with monsoon storms. So if you want sleepless nights, try that one out. But no, Chad was wonderful to work with. He looked at how do we sustain the design, how can we take care of it to make sure everything he designed is successfully sustained for years to come. So that's a big deal, especially from our side of the game, making sure that we can keep the integrity of that design long term, and we'll get into some of the specifics on how we did that. But thank you to everybody for entrusting me with that. Yeah, I don't want to do that for a little while, so don't vote on anything else for a little bit.
All right. Well, thanks. We're going to, I've got some questions prepared for both of these fellas, and then we'll have an opportunity, if you have some questions that you would like answered, they'll do their best. So with that, let's kick off. So let's discuss the vision for this project, which led us to where we are today. So as we were putting this whole project together 4 years ago, what is it that you wanted to accomplish, Chad?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, Desert Highlands is an historic golf course. It is an innovator here in the Scottsdale area. Until Desert Highlands, golf didn't look like this. What Jack and Lyle Anderson were able to do in the 80s, the innovation that they showed in this golf course, it looks like it's from the early 80s, and I think that's magnificent. We plow a lot of that under these days, the really elaborate artificial mounding, but we embraced it here, and the club embraced it. You go other places, and the superintendent might be, let's soften everything so it's easier to take care of. But here it was, no, we have something special, and we want to preserve that. So from the start, my goal was, let's preserve Mr. Nicholas's design, his design intent, and his heritage here. So that was the driving force behind it. Obviously, Mr. Nicholas was here. He did a tour, pointed out a few things that we put in the master plan. But at the end of the day, it was preserve and enhance and let Desert Highlands slowly evolve like it has been since the early 80s.
It's great. Tell us about the greens. The biggest part of the project financially was rebuilding every green, and a lot of those greens had changed over 40 years. How did they change, and what did we do about it?
So the original greens were very severe, very, very severe, and they've been messed with a lot since 1983. To give you an example, when we build a green, it's like a sandwich, and I won't get too technical on it, but the sandwich is usually 16 inches deep when we start. Some of these, when we dug them up, were over 4 feet deep. That's how much change had been kind of willy-nillied on top of the original greens. So we actually scanned the greens that you were playing right before we kicked you out, and that became kind of the basis for our starting point. But I was able to get a hold of the Skins game videos from 1983 and 84 and compare that also with some original plans, and was able to take what you had and then try to reintroduce some of those elements that had been eliminated over the years, but in a much more modern and playable way. For example, you'll see the swale on number 1. That's the defense of the hole. That's a little bit deeper actually than when we left it, but it's still probably 2 feet shallower than what it was in 1983. The pin, there's a pin in the middle of 10 green, and if you go in the administration building near the men's room, you'll actually see the photograph of that narrow spine that goes through the middle of the green. It's a great pin, but it was only about 15 feet wide when we left it. So we widened that to 30 feet, which is a more modern pin width. So now it's still very difficult, but it's very playable and it's fair. If you hit a great shot, miss it either side, and it's going to suck you off the green behind it. For example, we reintroduced, I should say, a little plateau in the back middle of 11 green, which also creates a little bit more support for you to hold the ball on the green. The original plateau might have been 2.5 feet tall. This one's maybe 12 inches at the most. So we tried to take some of the spirit from some of the greens, not all of them, and then we tried to combine it with some common sense. The greens had shrunk over the years, so we gained probably 500 to 600 square feet of pinnable area, or green space, I should say, back on each green on average, which gets us some more manageable, usable pin areas, especially on the edges of the greens. A lot of your greens used to have 3 or 4 pin positions, and you'd come up and probably, I would guess, see a dozen hole plugs kind of in the same 6-8 foot area. We've got a lot of space now to spread the pins out and then spread the traffic. So it was, in some cases, slowing down the slopes in the greens, because the greens today would run much faster than what they would have in 1983, getting our pin sizes bigger. So again, you're rewarded with those shots. And then also taking some of your feedback, for example, 2 and 3, we put a little bit more slope in those greens to help you hold those shots. So it was a lot of that. It all started kind of on paper with the green scans, comparing it to the Skins game. I went back, looked at aerial photos to try and recapture some of the original green shapes and sizes. And then we actually put it back with a surveying system called Total Station. They actually built highways with this that could take my drawing and put it back to millimeters, and then we kind of did our thing and adjusted it on site from there. So the greens are really probably the most important part of the project, the part you're probably going to experience the most. I'm very proud of them. I think they've turned out fantastic, and I think they'll be both interesting and very usable for you once you get out there.
Another big area of feedback that we've been hearing, and certainly yesterday on our walk, is the bunkers. That the bunkers are so visible. They frame the green in a very different way. The sand looks so bright and white. What are the changes? And Cody can talk from a design standpoint, Chad. I think everyone would be interested about that. And then Cody did some very interesting thing with the building of those bunkers.
So the bunkering here at Desert Highlands has really evolved over the years since 1983. As I watched the Skins game, all of the desert areas and the bunkers were a brown sand. So essentially, instead of the DG material that you see today, almost everything off the edges of the fairways was bunker sand. And you can imagine what a nightmare that would have been when it rains. If you think it washes bad now, put bunker sand on those slopes. And that allowed the bunkers, in a more playable way than just desert, to feed and flow up against the greens. For example, 2 green, that would have all just been one bunker, like a natural bunker, and they would have maintained it as such. Over the years, obviously, that became very difficult to maintain, and I think at some point someone came in and said this should be a formal bunker, and the rest should be converted to desert. And when we came, I know you all had some consistency issues with the bunkers, but it was one of the big decisions we had to make. When you left, we had that bright white bunker sand that would kind of just bleed into the dirt. And that was kind of an awkward transition, and to me it felt very unnatural with a kind of an artificial surface like that white sand up against the native surface. So we really discussed it a lot, and we made the decision to basically encircle all of the bunkers in turf now to separate it from the desert. And even though it's a little bit more turf, I feel it's a more natural look as we've separated the more formal manicured element from the more natural native desert. If you envision a lot of the original bunkers as extensions of the desert, that kind of reflects the shaping. We still wanted to maintain the same feel with the sand up high, but because we were formalizing the bunkers, I wanted to give them just a little bit more interest. So you'll see the top edges flow just a little bit more. That's kind of the decoration, is that the flow of the top edge. A good example where
What is the technical term for that?
What do we call them? Whoop-de-doos?
So whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, whoop-de-doos and doodads, and there's a whole vocabulary. So we did that. I think a good example, just a slight tweak in the line, would be the par 3 7th and the par 3 12th. If you'll remember, the line of the bunker across the front of the green was dead straight before, and we gave it just the slightest dip at the corner, and that makes all the difference to make it flow and fit in a little bit better. Cody can get into some more technical aspects, but we softened some of the slopes, even though the sand goes up very high. Before it was probably too steep for the sand to naturally stay on the slopes. So we had a specification on how steep the maximum slope can be, which will hopefully help the bunkers help keep that sand up. But the bunkers are a little more decorative now. You can obviously see them a lot more. A lot of that just comes from the clearing the overgrowth so you can see into them. So bunkers are a little bit more of a, hopefully visually interesting. Almost all of them are where they were. We've reduced the overall area quite a bit, which will help ease maintenance. And I don't think anybody's going to really notice. It won't really affect play for most the way we've reduced them. So.
Yeah, there's no lack of sand. I mean, the sand is less, but no one is going to be saying, where did all the sand go? It's plenty here. But we all know, all of us who've been here for a while know we've had some trouble with the previous bunkers. And it really came down to how those bunkers drain and how we can prepare them. So we made a few big changes, and some of Cody's experiences previously have allowed us to adapt on that. Maybe you can go into that a little bit, Cody.
Yeah, so the sand that we selected, that was the original sand that was in the practice bunker over the short game area, so that didn't change. The FlexGate material, that was the original selected material. One of the changes I made when I took on this job and looked at how this functioned was how the drainage was installed in the bottom. So this is where I have a lot of fun and get to be nerd. We do some testing on the sand, and it's called a curve of release, and it tells us how deep the sand needs to be in order for the air pressure in the atmosphere above the sand to force water down and through. One of the problems of the old liner is that the drainage is under the liner. So the air pressure in the liner itself, plus the P-rock around the pipe, and the pipe itself has air pressure holding water up. So how do we break that? So the previous bunker renovation I did over at Pinnacle Peak, we had used the same capillary concrete that was here at Desert Highlands, but we used it only on the faces. And we took another material and put it on the bottom, and then we just dug a trench 6 inches deep because our curve release number said it had to be 8 inches of sand over top of the pipe before the air pressure above would overcome it and force water down. And we used a different type of pipe called a 2-inch slip-bury direct. You don't put it underliner, you don't put it in anything, it's directly in the sand. By doing that, we take all the barriers out that hold the water up. So far, what we've seen, the problem I foresaw is that they're too dry. Well, that's really not a problem because I can always add water. Getting the water out of the sand's a challenge. So our irrigation is actually designed so that we have one individual head that actually waters just the sand. So one of the challenges we're going to have to find, and that's some feedback from the membership, is are they too wet? Are they a little too dry? Because we can change that now. It takes a few days to kind of go through that, but we're actually finding they're too dry right now and they're sloughing. So we've been watering it, playing with different minutes of water on how to get the perfect moisture, because you do want a bunker that has some moisture, otherwise it turns into powder. But we're also doing the Australian method, which is rolling the faces of the bunkers flat. There's no grain, we don't disrupt them, they stay compact so that your ball will hit and bounce down to the bottom, and we rake the bottoms where you would play. The interesting way we do that is we actually use paint rollers wrapped in duct tape. So that's how we get that smooth finish on the face. So they're kind of a pain in the butt to build, and they get sand in them and they break a lot, so we keep a bunch handy. But I think you're gonna really enjoy the difference on what we've achieved with the irrigation. We've got much more control. We still got to learn a little bit. They are new, just like you're gonna have to learn to play out of them, and you're gonna have to learn new greens. We're gonna have to learn from your experience on how we can make them better. So we have some tools in the bag to do that now.
One of the other very important design principles was that when you put machinery in a bunker, you lose control of the bunker. So our bunkers were so big that we would have to maintain them with sand pros and drag a mat behind them. So the principle is that we don't have any bunkers any longer. Not that they aren't big and not that it's not going to take a bunch of labor, but they'll all be hand raked. Every bunker will be prepared by hand. So I think between the drainage work that Cody's really keen on and how the bunkers are going to be prepared, the only thing left is for you and me to rake the bunker properly.
Hey, Ken, can I remind everybody something?
Yeah, sure.
Bunkers are hazards.
Bunkers are hazards, right? Right.
The other thing I forgot to add in there, we did.
Can I add my architect's advice?
Absolutely, because I know what it is.
Don't hit it there. if you're gonna whine, don't hit it there.
Now, one of the other big things we did find is a lot of the grass basins around the green were tied into the bunker drains, and we were finding that a lot of the drains were completely plugged. There was nowhere for them to go, so the water was backing up. So what ended up happening when we discovered a lot of that is we went 300% over our budget line of the exit drainage because we fixed all of that drainage. So while the ground was open, we took the extra expense to make sure that we solved the problem with not only the grass basins of the bunkers, but the entire green complex. So we should have much better functioning drainage around the greens as well.
One of the most fun experiences, those of us that got a chance to work closely with Chad and Cody this summer, and Bob and Steve, is when we would walk the course and we would look at the green, listening to Chad talk about what he wanted you to see and how should that green complex look. And one of the big changes, and I hope I know you'll notice this if you were out yesterday, is that when you're walking the fairway and you look at the complex, it's open and it's clean and it's these beautiful greens. And can you talk a little bit about how you go through that architecturally or what you were thinking? And because it happened on at least 15 holes.
As far as the visibility?
Yeah.
Not clearing. Shaping. The tilting of the greens. Well, again, we were working with what you had, and you know, Jack and myself, I'm very particular. I want to see as much as I can. I want to, where possible, I don't want to just see the bunker. I want to see into the floor of the bunker. I want to see as much putting surface as I can, unless we're deliberately hiding it from you. On some holes where maybe it's uphill and it's a challenge, like 8, I at least want you to know where the right side of the green is and the left side of the green is, so you kind of got that that field, those goalposts, if you will. I know if I hit it between those two, I'm heading toward the green. So we worked a lot, really hard on some of the edges, really subtle shaping, folding stuff down, raising stuff up. The left bunker on 8, actually, it's one of the more intricately shaped bunkers, but it's more of a result of us trying to fold something down in the bunker so you could actually see through kind of a window into the upper back left pin. And then that created the opportunity to kind of create some of the unique shaping in that bunker. So, yeah, we did a lot of work on just little tweaks, up 2 inches here, down an inch here. Just, I'd like to see, we don't need that much slope coming off the bunker. If we lower that a little bit more, I'll see more green surface behind it. So a lot of nitpicky stuff as we went around.
We made a lot of changes on the golf course to, we talk about making it more playable. As I told folks yesterday, no, it's not easier. There's a difference between more playable and easier. I think it's more enjoyable, and when you lay the sod over the ball, well, that's on you. But there were many areas on the golf course where it's somewhat penal if you hit a bad shot where the ball would roll off, or just hard to get up to that spot. Or then you'd land in a bunker that followed a transition and you'd have a 50, 60-yard bunker shot. You leave it in there twice, and instead of getting a 5, you got a 7, and you're kind of upset. And I don't know.
Don't hit it there.
Right. I don't know that we're going to solve for all that, but I do think that the restoration was done to enhance your experience. And I thought, Chad, you could give us a few examples of some modifications you did on run-ups to a green, or where the roll-off would be, and how things might play just a little bit friendlier for the mid-handicap golfer.
Well, I think 2 and 3 are a good example. Those 2 green complexes visually looked fairly similar to me. So on both cases, we had very large bunkers front right of the green, and in both cases, we filled in the large part short of the green and folded down a little fairway in front of it. So if you do miss it short, it's not going to be an easy shot, but at least you don't have that 30, 40-yard bunker shot. In doing so, and there's a lot of really subtle stuff out there that we've changed that you may or may not notice as you go around. But in both those cases, we also slightly widened the opening to the left side of the green. It may only be a couple paces, but it gives you just a little bit more room to run it up on the left side. Combine that with a little more slope in the green to hold the shot. We're trying to at least get you on the green. Now, if you want to play golf and go pin hunting on the right side of the green, you gotta hit shots. 7's another good example. Unless I told you, you may not realize, but we filled in probably 10 feet of the right side of that bunker short of the green. There was really nowhere to hit the ball short right of that green before. It's a little bit bigger now. You can miss it a little bit short right. Very little stuff, like there was a hollow short of the 15th green where you might run it up. We realized we didn't really need the hollow for drainage, so we filled it in, flattened it out so you could at least kind of bounce the ball up on the green. So 14, the same thing. There was a deep basin short of the green. We filled that in so the slope's a little softer, so it won't immediately kill your shot as you're trying to run it into the green. But again, for the better players that are really trying to score and play golf, they've still got to hit those great shots to get in there. But for those that might be a little shorter or higher handicappers, we're trying to help you out a little bit and take away some of the stuff that really only affects you.
One of the surprises as we were building the golf course was what Cody interfaced with drainage and all the blocks and drainage that we had. That it's hard to understand the impact of that on the golf course, but I was wondering, Cody, if you could tell us a little bit about what you found, what you did about it, and how that'll change the maintenance experience.
Yeah, so the first one we found is actually on 7. All the basins around the grass basins around the green, the bunker and the green, all came to one drain. It all came off to that low point on the right side of the cart path between Mr. Whitaker and Mr. Bonner's house. We had to work on some other drainage with Mr. Whitaker and Mr. Bonner, so I got to know them well. But what we found was we had 8 different drains coming into one 6-inch exit drain. That 6-inch exit drain was under the ground, completely blocked up, and we found, for lack of a better term, a Tootsie Roll turd in there, and it was backed up several feet. and it was bad. And it high organic matter, that really black anaerobic soil that stinks really bad, and that's what was backing up into the green. And reason we can't grow healthy turf is because it can't breathe, because the water is literally backing up inside. So that was the first one we really found it, because we had checked all the drains as we were building and made sure everything functioned. But 1 through 6, the bunkers are very elevated, so they were very clean and easy to figure out. It was 7 on that we started to find the bigger issues, specifically on the entire back 9. Thus, we spent an exorbitant amount fixing that, but it was better to spend the money now and get it done right while we've got the ground open than to try to have to fix it on a separate project later when it costs 4 times more. But yeah, we went 300% over on 4-inch exit drainage, which is bunkers and basins, and we were a little bit under on the greens drainage because they function very well on most greens. But yeah, drainage is probably the most number one thing when building. It's got to function, or your golf course won't be healthy.
One of the other big changes we made are location of tee boxes, sizes of tee boxes, angles of tee shots. Can you talk a little bit about both the design and the construction differences, because they look different?
I mean, in general, I mean, we tried to make them all bigger. As we top dress over the years, they get higher, and as some of these locations, as you get higher, they can only get smaller. So we actually lowered a lot of them back down to maybe where they were in '83 to get them a little bit more size. Cody then went on to enlarge some others even more, and we built a handful of new tees. I think I saw a group of you up on the new tee on 10 before, pretty spectacular. Shifted some tees like 10, which made some room for this where you're sitting today, and also kind of creates a little more dog leg on 10. Added a handful of new forward tees. So just again, and they'll be, I mean, they're new again. They're flat. They're not rolled off on the edges. Tees look great, and be plenty of space for you all to spread out and hit divots.
Yeah, so hey, you did give me a little leeway to build some tees. I appreciate that. It's fun.
Yeah, 10 tees. These are Cody's tees up here.
If you don't like them, he actually designed them. No, there were a few opportunities, like 12 is a good one, where because you got the wash in the hillside, the hill by the cart path, and the wash to the right, there wasn't a lot of opportunity. So that one actually raised up slightly so that you could see those greens a little bit better, but we combined those tees together because that was the only way to gain some space. 7, I should have taken your paint gun away.
7 is all Ken.
7, I think, increased by 4,000 square feet. We got multiple angles, multiple yardages.
They're bigger than your house.
I think I put my house.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot more opportunity, which, especially in the wintertime with the overseed, this will help with the different in the wear patterns as well. But the tees got 33% bigger. We added a little over 25,000 square feet of tee space to the entire golf course. And I think going back to the greens got 26% bigger. I think it was right around 25,000 square feet of extra green added. One of the other interesting things going back about the putting green, if you haven't seen it, it's combined to one massive green now. We found a green built on top of another green. There was 2 greens there built vertically, and those greens used to be connected. So after a lot of discussion over several weeks, phone calls, Zoom calls, we finally ended up combining them together to give you a green that's the top half replicates the golf course a little bit better, and the bottom half is flat for practice, so you get a variety on that practice green now.
I also want to give a shout out to Andy Morris, and Karen, who worked with Chad and Cody. We redesigned the short game. It's still there. We can't do everything that we'd like to do because we don't have so much room, but you'll notice the green is moved way off the cart path, and we have hitting bays there, and because we won't have this surface, the Zoysia surface, with the amount of short iron play, we did put mats. We know it doesn't replicate hitting off grass, but it's really for you to get, your rhythm and just get loose, and it wasn't designed to be a driving range. And speaking of the driving range, you can probably see down there just how much bigger the South Range is. We were able to add 15 yards pretty much to both sides. Probably got at least that many, if not 20, 15, 20 more hitting stations, so that when we have a big event, less people will be waiting. And Cody and I shot a little video. I don't know if you've seen it, but we talk about divot patterns on it. And, we can protect that range a lot longer if we keep our divots moving in a straight line. Even if you hit one chunky, still keep going back and try to keep in a straight line. And that we do expect a lot more play at the range just because we have 4 tee times an hour for the next couple of months or so. So that's all good. And we have a lot more space to do it. But Cody did a great job of leveling that whole range out. And it's just smoother. It's just better. And you'll see it when you're down there. It'll be a better experience for you on that.
So Ken, that was an add-on that we fit inside the existing budget.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Good job.
We also call that GM creep.
Yeah. There's a lot of GM
Jesse's not
creep
paying
in this.
attention though.
But here's the good news, and we do want to say this, is we recognize that while the golf course looks great and it's a big improvement, we know this next year we'll get a lot of feedback. We'll get your feedback, your playing experiences. We've got money in the budget to do a lot of little things on the course. We took out a lot on the golf course. We need to revegetate. And we want to add more saguaros. We want to add more agave. We want to do things where it makes sense, where it'll be visually attractive and be compelling. So that's stuff that's going to happen all during the year, and we look forward to that. I think the whole community going through Firewise at the same time that we're going through this golf course is just giving everything a much cleaner look, and the community looks like the golf course looks like the community, and it's just a real big step forward. We've been talking for a while, and perhaps this is something you guys want to add. We could answer some questions. Do we want to do that?
Anybody?
Inside information here. No, this is Chuck's wife. So,
After we hit into the bunker, which invariably we will, can we rake the sides now? Or, because I noticed that the bottom was raked, but the sides are nice and smooth. What do we do?
Yeah, so just take the rake and flip it over to the smooth side and just smooth it out. Yeah, on the side, just smooth it out on the side. It's not gonna be perfect. Next morning we'll take the paint rollers and smooth that back out.
Put on a new coat.
What's that?
Put on a new coat.
Yeah.
Ken, I don't think you did anything to the fairways, at least I could observe. Why can't we drive on the fairway?
I'll let Cody answer that.
So as you were all notified, we did not oversee it, and that was all due to the health of the Bermuda. If we drive on the Bermuda as we go into the shortest days of the year, coldest days of the year, the Bermuda's not going to recover because it's starting to go dormant, starting to go off color already. If we wear it out with the golf carts, you're going to have a poor surface to play for the next 3 months, and it'll slow the green up. Some of the sod on the later holes is only 7-8 weeks old at this point. It's not very old. So it's in the interest of preserving the Bermuda through the winter season when it starts to grow again. And we set March 1st as a target date. We'll see what the weather does and how it handles it. But it was about preserving a better playing surface through the colder months, shorter sunlight days.
I was thinking about the new sand trap in front of the green on 18. If that's a new Nicholas design or what? Where does that come from? It's right in the middle, and kind of where I hit every time.
Yeah,
That's why it's there, Chuck.
that's right. So that is courtesy of Mr. Nicholas. He came, and there was some feedback that maybe the 18th hole needed a little more spice and a little more challenge and a little more interest. He took a little offense to that, and no, he added the bunker there, and then the bunkers on the outside kind of frame the new swale up there, and it just, again, it creates many more options now. So you can lay up. We actually reduced the large bunker on the left to give you a little bit more room to hit it kind of beyond it and left to get the angle into the green. You can lay it up short of everything. Obviously, if you miss it short right again, same thing. You're going to be blinded by the large mound. You get it up there short right of the green. It's a very straightforward chip, and the further you get back into that green complex, into the swale, the trickier the chip gets. So if you get a little greedy going at a back pin and miss it, it's going to be a tough recovery shot. But the idea was to create many more options on the second shot on that hole.
And it looks more interesting.
This is more of
It
an
does.
observation. I'm sorry.
I won't get there in 2. It's fine for me.
This is why we hire architects, because if every member designed the golf course, it'd be interesting.
This is more of an observation versus just a question. I think it relates perfectly to what you guys have been talking about. Is the 13th hole? If you're the better player, or if you're feeling good, you go to the right. Yes, it's a longer shot now to get to the fairway. But from hearing at the walkthrough yesterday, now the way the fairway is, you lower the slope there, so it's not going to kick the ball back to the wash. Now you have a better opportunity to get that ball rolling back towards the green. And then if you're on the left fairway, what I was hearing from some of the members is that now the green is larger, it's going to receive their shots a lot better coming in from the left fairway going to that green.
Right. The idea there was, first of all, it was a pretty awkward shot going to the right side. You couldn't really see it. That's supposed to be a heroic shot, and if you pull it off, it'd be kind of nice to see your ball and be verified that it did it. Also felt like it was pretty much an automatic shot to the right, and we really wanted it to lengthen it just a hair to when you stood on the tee and you were like, I'm feeling it today, and if I hit a good shot, no problem, I'm over. But if I mishit it, I might find some trouble. And vice versa, if we made the shot to the right harder, we needed to address the shot from the left. And the green was about 27 feet deep going to that back left pin. No support at all. So Jack wanted to widen that out. We actually took out one of the hollows, brought the mound closer to you. It's still a difficult shot. And then for the first year or two, when the greens are still very firm, it's going to be a difficult shot. But we're giving you more relief to hit into there and hold the shot on the green from the left side of the fairway. So we hope it's more interesting, a little more kind of maybe get a little goosebump, but do I have it today or do I not? What's the wind doing today? A little more decision making and standing up there and hitting a good shot instead of just automatically, I don't even have to think about it. We want you to think a little bit on that hole.
I would also add the way Chad designed the new green complex there. Unless you hit your shot to the right and really get close to the green where you're chipping it on effectively, having a 40-yard, 50-yard shot from that angle versus coming in where it's made to receive it from the left, that's not a picnic shot. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to do. But the hole's designed, as Chad said, for 100% of the people to go left. And if you're feeling it, for 5, 10, 15% of the people to go right. But if you just make it over, I can assure you that 80-yard shot coming in straight on versus 80-yard shot from the left, much harder. So you just got to weigh that. And we did bring that fairway down, and Chad alluded to that before. One of the things that Mr. Nicholas did not like on this golf course is for you to hit a good shot on the fairway and not see your ball bounce. So now if you do go right and you make that fairway, you'll likely see your ball bounce on that fairway. So you won't have to guess where it is.
Hi guys, Mike Bauer, Backspin the Golf Show. Chad, just want to thank you for coming on our show a few months ago to talk about this project. Appreciate that. For you guys, Cody, your third project of this magnitude. Chad, 26 years. When we talk to you 5, 10 years from now, and you look back at this, what are the metrics you use to evaluate this being a huge success?
Well, I think it all comes back down to you. Every client I go to, I tell them first thing, I'm not here to design for myself. I'm here to listen to you all, listen what's important to the members, what they like, what they don't like, learn more about the membership, how they play the golf course, where Ken really was valuable in that. So I just hope you really enjoy it. And it's still challenging, but you start to find maybe a break or two more than you didn't before. Hopefully we've given something to Cody that he can just maintain immaculately. Like I said, I'm very proud of the greens, so I hope you like those. And we'll just see. At the end of the day, it's you're our customer, and we hope we've given you what you've asked for.
Yeah, for me, it's how can we make it sustainable long term? Uh, I'll use my previous experience down at Pinnacle Peak. We built those greens 10 years ago. If you pull a cup out of them, they look brand new yet. They function well, they putt well. We built them for the long haul, and we did that here. And I learned some things I could have done better at those previous projects that we did do here, and we improved. From cutting out the interface to make sure we don't trap water on the greens interfaces, to how we designed the edge of the bunkers, how the bunker comes up and there's actually the liner is vertical on the edge and then folds over 6 inches under the sod. For that reason, now we can keep the bunkers exactly where they're supposed to be for the long term, because we use the liner to make that a permanent structure. The greens, we did a lot of things. There's an irrigation loop inside the green, because Bermuda grass on the outside will encroach into bent grass. It will outcompete it. Every couple of years, we'll resod the greens collars. That pop-up ring only waters the collar. We used a different type of Bermuda grass around the outside of the green to slow the encroachment. We used 328, not 419. We put a lot of thought into how do we keep this long-term sustainable elite level experience. There's a lot of things that go into maintaining a golf course: water, fertilizers, herbicides, labor. Bunkers is the worst thing by a long ways. You spend more money maintaining bunkers than anything. So we're thinking long term. How do we create the same golf course every single year consistently?
And if I could just answer a question I was not asked, I would say from a Greens Committee, Grounds Committee membership standpoint, I think first it comes our enjoyment, and people that live here really want to play the golf course and are excited to play the golf course. And the second is everybody else wants to play the golf course, because Desert Highlands is known for something special. Even before the renovation, we probably have 5 or 6 signature holes, and there's some great golf courses all around us, but there's probably none that are more memorable. And as we've cleaned up this course and opened up all these corridors and the visual, the stunningness, the elevation changes, I just think this very special place got more special. And it's a source of pride for us to be here. And when we bring people out and people get an opportunity, a rare opportunity to play this golf course, they will say, wow, yeah, you haven't played anywhere in the desert till you play Desert Highlands. So I think that's the goal.
Is there anything that you saw out here that you would have done differently, or that you wanted to do from an architectural standpoint that you didn't get to do?
Within the scope of the project, no, I don't think so. Again, my mission here was not to redesign this golf course. It's an incredibly special golf course. I leaned on the side of preserving as much as we can and keeping the original intent of the golf course. Now, after you all play tomorrow and maybe I get a little feedback, I might have a different answer. But
my question is, so we did nothing for the last 42 years to the greens, which is what got us to this point, with the greens being elevated, smaller, built up, et cetera, et cetera. What do we have to do better on an annual basis so that we don't have to do a massive project like this again?
don't change them. No, there was, I can't say who did it or how it was done, but there was some funky stuff done to these greens underneath them. So they were wildly inconsistent. Hopefully you like the putting surfaces, and the infrastructure is pristine and new, and if you like them, and we don't have to make major modifications. And if we do, we're going to do it right instead of piling 2 feet of dirt on top of the old green. Then Cody should be really good to go.
Yeah, a lot of that is your annual maintenance practices, your top dressing, your aerifying. I typically don't put sand on a green unless we are changing amenities, pulling a core out so that we don't start layering the sand up. I'm a minimalist when it comes to fertility. I spray, spray, spray. I don't put granular on. We just give the plant just what it needs for that week or 2 weeks. And we spoon feed it so that we're not putting all this extra additives into our soil, making unhealthy soils and unhealthy plants. I do know that the greens were actually resurfaced back in the mid to late 90s, I believe. And then again with the Bermuda. So you had two different renovations in there built on top of the 80s greens. I did meet with Phil Shoemaker, longtime director of agronomy here. He gave me a ton of insight. It was special to talk to them about Desert Highlands. But there was some stuff done over the years, and that's the evolution. They're going to get taller. Grass grows, and no different than you shed some skin and you grow some more, and that organic matter builds up over time. It's just inevitable.
But there is a useful life of all greens, right?
Yeah, I think the USGA is 25 to 30 lives on a core of a green, and a bunker, the useful life of sand is 7 to 10 years according to the USGA.
Going back to the risk reward question on 13, and I can see walking it yesterday how there was a lot of. It just seemed great for the men players. Was the same consideration? What's the formula for women hitters? Did you move that thing back? It looks like about 30 yards, 20 yards.
To be honest with you, I don't know what the exact measurement was because throughout construction we had a gigantic berry pit in front of it, so I couldn't really see it for half the project. But we put forth some distances there. I don't remember what we ended up with, but again, if we have to add a tee, adding a tee is very easy. If it's still not manageable for the ladies to get over there, because I think everybody, again, on a good day, if they're feeling it, should have the option to try and play to the right. Is that the smart play? Maybe not, but that's golf.
Is that the same thing for kind of all the tee boxes, though? I mean, there are probably other situations where
I can't hear you. Sorry.
We did lower that, and there is a run up. Now, part of the feedback, we may be revegetating in that area, and we'll just have to see, because the truth is that Mr. Nicholas does not want the right side to be the normal way you play that hole. The fairway on the left side is 4 times the size, and it's 4 times the size for a reason. So the fact is that it was made a risk-reward hole. If we make the right side such that everything bounces up, and it's no biggie, it would defeat the point of that hole. So it's you want to hit over there. It's when you do it and you made it, you should feel special and happy, and that because it's 2 out of 10. That's the way that hole is designed. So it's not for everyone.
2 out of 10, but
yeah, right. Well, maybe. All right, I'll go there from the white tee, but not from the blue tee.
I will also say on that hole, we dramatically enlarged the men's tee boxes because, I had a call with Ken. I'm like, well, we're kind of iffy on the carry distance, so why don't we just make the tees really big and we can kind of try it out and let everybody kind of feel for what that appropriate distance is. So we got a little bit of flexibility in the setup on the tees to kind of dial that distance in.
That's a very good point. And that's one thing we did because we didn't know. So from the white tees, it could be as short as 170, 180, all the way back to 230 to clear it. So one of the wonderful things that Chad did on this design is give us variety. You'll see 10, 12 pin positions on the greens versus 3 or 4. You're going to see tee boxes that allow us to play it very differently day to day. Cody's guys will be able to take care of things because it won't be the same spot. We'll be able to move things around. And all in all, we have one golf course, so let's create as much variety as we can. And I think that's probably the best part of what Cody and Chad were able to accomplish.
I just wanted to say that as a proud high handicapper, I really like the fact that you de-vegged a lot, and I hope you're very cautious about what you put back.
Amen.
Because I'm not looking to get any more vegetation. In fact, I'd have some suggestions for a few to take out yet.
I do think speed of play will be impacted by the visibility of going through the desert area, and it should look clean and nice like that.
Just to give you the extent of how much we did, it was close to 70 acres. Native Resources did 65 degrees around every hole, and then the Desert Highlands agronomy team did the entire tea complex. So we kind of tag teamed that project together, but we're hauling out our fifth round of material coming out. We're close to 5,000 cubic yards of debris coming out, and we're not done yet. But I think you'll really notice how much cleaner your sight lines, number 3 specifically. We opened up that right side. You can see the back right of the bunker, or of the green. You can see all the bunkers from even the mounding on the right side of the fairway. You can see it now.
Chad, let's have a little fun. So you've been with the Nicholas organization for a long time, and I can tell you there are 3 or 4 different stories about the placement and the origin of the sand traps along the 17th hole on the left. Can you tell us the real story?
No, sir, I cannot. But now you've got a little bit of my influence in with them. No, we actually, I think Ken's got the better story, that they played the skins and Jack didn't like what was happening, so they put those in. I would have liked to have put one in the middle of the fairway, but they're still very deep, but we did raise the floors there. We raised the back of them as well to keep them as deep, but at least you can now kind of get into them without spraining an ankle. But I would have liked to put one in the middle of the fairway.
And 5 became 4. If that's a win, Bill.
Seriously, you honestly don't know?
Don't hit it there.
You honestly don't?
Couple
Bunkers are
questions.
hazards.
Couple questions about the greens. One, I noticed on 7 and one other green, there was some cups that were, you'd gone down, and they're like maybe 7 or 8 pretty close together. I was curious what those were on those couple greens.
Yeah, 7, 9, 10, and the putting green, we had a little bit issues with the irrigation system during growing. We also had critters get into them, even though we put the fences up and they dug some holes. The putting green was a coyote getting in there. Number 1 got a coyote in it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. But those plugs were where we just didn't get a good grow in. We had a little bit of a hole there, so we wanted to took a cut plug out of the nursery green up the shop and put it in to repair those areas.
And then I've played some other courses that were new bent grass. How long does it take before it softens up? Maybe Cody, you can answer that. We had Pinnacle, where it really held nicely like they do over there. How long does that take?
Yeah, I don't think they'll be quite as firm coming into the opening into the winter season right now, because they're still young, coming out of a summer grow-in. Not the best weather for bent, but we're able to do it. The root structure is pretty incredible. I pulled a plug out of the putting green today. The high density roots were 6 to 7 inches deep already. The tap roots were pushing 10 inches in some areas. I think you'll see it firm up significantly more by February, when the great growing weather comes. We're past winter solstice, and you're going to start growing a whole lot more roots and a whole lot more leaf tissue into the same spot, and they're going to tighten hard. And so you're going to see probably more of the firmness that you're expecting, like he had when the greens were converted to mini verde. You'll see that in the spring a little more. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. They're a little receptive. I think you still have a hard time spinning a ball back, but you still have to fix your ball mark, fix it right. The ball marks, as you see in the video, they're going to be a problem in the winter, because we're going to the worst growing portion of the year. You're going to see some scarring. They're going to take a little time to heal. So that'll be the downside. Hence some of the decisions we made on play out there is to protect the investment.
You didn't answer the question.
What was the question? Firm?
How long until they soften up?
Well, I like firm greens.
He's
so
running
it might
for
be a while.
Congress.
And
More than 2 seasons or less than 2 seasons?
Do I have to answer? Once we get your feedback, we'll start from there. How's that?
Less than 2 seasons.
And once we get feedback on green speeds, we'll start from there.
Don't hit it there.
We're gonna wrap it up. I think we're going to hop on up to number 1 and do a ceremonial ribbon cutting and maybe hit a couple of tee shots. And before close, I just want to once again thank these two guys, thank the whole maintenance team, the coordination with the contractors did an amazing job. Heritage Links, they worked so hard in the middle of the summer and 110-degree weather, and they kept this thing going. Really, the amazing hard work, what it took to get this done. So very pleased. I also see some of my colleagues from the past 5 years on the Green and Grounds Committee. You know who you are, Chuck and Bill, and thank you. And I saw someone else, but thank you so much for helped start the project. We've gone through a lot. It's evolved a lot, but it took the whole community to get this done. And thank you all for your patience. It's not easy to lose your golf course at the end of April and not get it back till Thanksgiving, but here we are, and it'll only get better from this point forward. So thank you.